Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Cloud Talks, where we talk about cloud. Fun. Fun and entertaining. So today I'm your host, Karthik Karoon, the CEO and founder of the club, and today we'll be talking about regions and availability zones.
Hello, Karthik. How are you?
Good.
Great. Okay. So let's start talking about regions and availability zones. Wow. I see a whole world map in here. What's up with that, Karthik?
Well, the world map represents like how many regions and availability zones there are. There's a lot of them all over the globe.
I see. Okay. Let's see what we got here. So I guess in order for us to understand about availability zones and regions, I think understanding about what a data center is kind of important, huh?
Mm-hmm.
What is a data center?
Well, a data center is basically like a large room full of servers that basically like help you compute, store data, and all sorts of things.
I know. We have a bunch of those in our company. In fact, every single big company still has a lot of data centers and, thousands and thousands of servers running in their data centers, right? So I'm, curious to know what it takes to run a data center. Is that easy?
No, it's not. In fact, it's really hard because you have to secure them. You have to have a security card to secure them, make sure it's all safe. You have to cool them with like fans and whatnot because it gets really hot. And if it gets hot, then it, gets really messed up. And last of all, it's just like way too much to store because they can really block up a lot of space and yeah, basically a lot of maintenance.
Yeah, I agree. It's not fun, right? So maintaining all these servers and you buy them and you have to keep upgrading them, right? None of that is fun activity, right? So you want to do cool and fun things and pass on all this boring work to somebody else, I guess, right? Like a cloud service provider like AWS, right, Karthik?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, perfect. AWS would be perfect for things like this, but it would be much easier to manage.
Exactly. So there we are moving away from buying a server to renting a server,
Yeah,
right?
and
And
earlier you talked about big companies using data centers. Well, those same big companies are now actually thinking of migrating to the cloud.
so true, so true. In the next few years, maybe a decade or so, I think data centers, may still exist, but not to the level that we see today, right? Okay, we understood about data centers. Now, what is an availability zone? Let's talk about that, Karthik.
Well, an availability zone is basically like a bunch of these data centers, but really far apart in the design of basically thinking that when one data center goes down, there are multiple other ones, like the other two, that are still perfectly working. And this is basically meant to make it easier in case of disasters, natural disasters, like hurricanes, floods, all sorts of things.
Yeah. What are these lines here, Karthik, between the data centers?
That's to represent the really fast connection between them. So, and everything syncs across all of them.
Yeah.
So, it's
Okay.
really good for like preventing against disasters that can take away all your data and yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's important to note as well, we just talked about data centers having their own cooling system, wires and connectivity and security. In essence, each of them have their own cooling system and security. So to your point, right, if even one goes down, the other two are full-fledged data centers. They still keep serving the customer and customers are still happy. Typically, also these data centers are very close to each other, like maybe in different buildings right next to each other. All of them collectively make up what we call as the availability zone. So that was a good discussion, right? So now let's understand what is a region now. So we talked about data center, we talked about availability zone, which is a collection of data centers. How about regions, Karthik? What do you think about regions?
Well, regions are basically like a bunch of availability zones, like I think about three that make up a region, and each of them are 60 miles apart, again, to make sure that natural disasters and disasters cannot ruin your data or destroy it forever or delete it forever just by
That's true.
destroying it.
That's right. And even here I see a line connecting them. What is that? Is that similar to what we discussed before with the data centers?
Yeah, it actually represents the hyperspeed between the three. And overall, this is a great network for preventing disasters from, like, again, ruining your data, deleting your data, destroying it. It's a
Yeah.
great system for preventing against all of that.
Yeah, and it's also important for us to understand that in order for a region to qualify as a region, at the very least, it should have two availability zones. Our understanding is it can be anywhere between 2 to 6 availability zones. Typically, 3 or 4 is pretty common in a region that Amazon maintains.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And we talked about disaster, and we talked, and again, we want to spend some time on availability and redundancy. So what is it that we are trying to show here, Karthik?
We're trying to show basically when even inside an availability zone, if a data center goes down, there are again still two other data centers. And again, there's also other availability zones that have the same data copied to them.
I
So
see.
really, you have like about 6 other data centers
Yep.
other than the two that are in that availability zone that you can rely on.
That's pretty cool, right? So your data is safe, and if you configure in such a way that your data gets replicated or copied in these different availability zones and within data centers, then you don't have to worry about losing one data center. You will still be a happy customer, I guess, right? How about if a whole availability zone goes down? Are we in trouble?
We won't actually. We'll still have 2 more availability zones and 6 data centers to rely on.
Exactly. That's imagine us doing it on our own, right? Imagine us building all of these data centers and different availability zones and maintaining. That's not easy.
It'd be tough because you would have to pay a lot to set up each one. You have to maintain them, like we discussed in the last few slides.
Exactly. And I think one of the videos we discussed, if you want to build a toy online website, right? You would rather focus on the toy online website rather than trying to set up these data centers and servers.
Yeah, because
All that,
again,
correct?
episode 1, like how we discussed that toy store example, we would want to manage it. We'd have other things to do that are way more important than managing servers.
Exactly. I think this is what I believe AWS calls it as undifferentiated heavy lifting, right? You don't want to put a lot of effort in some activity that doesn't differentiate yourself from your competition, right? So you want to do the cool things. You want to do the things that matters from a customer standpoint, right? So that's the key, right, Karthik?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, basically from like the customer's view of things, they want it to be secure, they want it to be safe, they want it to be safe from destruction and safe from it being gone forever.
Absolutely.
Because
Now,
that is again one main pain point that customers have currently with data centers.
yeah. So if the whole region goes down, Karthik, if the whole region goes down, are we in trouble?
Well, necessarily or not.
Why?
Because again, this all is backed up.
Yep, you are absolutely right. In multiple regions, right? You could have a region in the West Coast in Oregon, and you could have a region in the East Coast in Virginia, for example, right? And they are like thousands of miles away, right? And still the data can get replicated. Let's say we have a earthquake in California and all the entire region is destroyed for some reason. You still have your data safe and secure in Virginia. That's the power, right?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Good. What is the current status of Amazon Web Services? I know they are continuously adding a lot of availability zones and regions, right?
So currently there's about 81 availability zones with 25
Wow.
geographic regions across the world.
Wow, that's a lot.
And more being constantly added, like every year, every month, more being added.
Exactly. So that means more people in the world can utilize these services, and we can copy, data across the ocean, across continents, and it all is done very quickly, right? So it's an amazing piece of infrastructure that Amazon provides. So that's pretty cool. Um, okay, so what is this, Karthik? It looks like it's a map. It seems to show kind of the regions and
Yeah.
right.
Again, like the other one for the availability zones, this one is showing that there's lots of regions as well
Wow.
across the world.
Yeah,
And again, more being added. As you can see in that orange color, there's the coming soon ones, and there's a lot.
yeah, I'm pretty sure this will our slides will be outdated by the within a few months or so. There'll be more regions added, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So looks like we are almost at the end of our discussion. Hopefully, our viewers had a lot of fun learning about data centers, availability zones, and regions, right, Karthik?
Yeah, and again, you guys can catch the more of the series on our channel. Again, the series is called Cloud Talks, where we talk about cloud, and it's very fun and entertaining. You can find it on our channel. And right now, as of this video creation, you can find episode 1 already in there. And yeah.
Okay. All right. See ya. Thanks.
Yeah, see you guys later.